Camp is definitely like something magical. It's like almost words can't even describe how amazing the experience is.
Everything about my life would be different if camp wasn't a part of it. From meeting my wife and my kids going to the career paths I've chosen. But I think most of all, camp matters to me because it's a place I get to give kids a space where they can truly be themselves and the best version of themselves, and hopefully take that home.
And I was really, really shy. I did not talk to anybody. I did not want to go because social environments were not for me. But camp really helped me get out of my shell and like find myself and just find like it's led me to so many friendships and stuff. And like I give like a lot of credit of my like outgoingness, like I'm a lot more of an extrovert now, and I give a lot of credit for that to camp because everybody there is so welcoming and it's such a comfortable environment that like it's okay to be yourself.
I think the value of the camp for me is to see how much it has changed me, and to be a part of something that has been so formative for me and helping me gain my own confidence and be just like a better person.
So my dad will say that he wants to invest money in WASC camp because of how it transformed me, because I was just a angry, angsty, teenager. And I came back after camp and I was happy and all smiles and just like loving life and feeling confident. I think that's one of the biggest things. It's like that confidence to like feel like you belong somewhere and you can talk to anybody and you can be silly and have fun and then also learn some leadership skills, learned a little parliamentary procedure. Remember that?
Robert's Rules of Order.
Rules. Yeah, exactly.
I was a farm kid. It was the first time I was probably away from home with a group of people, lots of other adult leaders, and then some of my classmates were there. So that was a real growth experience. Got me exposed to a lot of leadership training, public speaking, setting goals, the idea that you can make a difference in other people's lives, but you can also set a direction for your own life.
Well, let's see, it was 7th grade, so it would have been about 1983, 4.
Why is it important to you? Is it important?
It's very important. I drive past the house of my junior high student council advisor, and I keep thinking, especially since these events have started up, that I need to write him a letter and tell him how him saying, Laura, you should go to camp. I'm like, oh, I was a really, really shy kid, really shy, and didn't like to, I don't know. I didn't participate in a lot of things, but I started student council in 7th grade, and they suggested I go to camp, and those two things together changed the course of who I was.
I always talk about how do we take camp back home.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's about how do we take this environment that makes kids feel like they can truly be themselves and open up and be vulnerable and beautiful and leaders in their own way. How do we take those things home? And so for me, it's about I can take the 50, 60, 70, 100, 150 kids that I have, and I can send them out into the world and say, go make the world be more like this.
And it's like, especially people who are going through like hard times, especially when I started camp, I had like some depression issues and anxiety, and camp just like made that all go away. It's like, it's almost like, I don't know, magical.
Basically, you go around in a circle and you answer like some just basic questions, and then it starts to get like deeper and deeper, and so you really get to know a person and trust them. It's just a really cool thing.
Some of the true gifts of that experience aren't necessarily the things that you experience while you're there. It's the way that you experience them a month later, 6 months later, 5 years later. Like there's lessons that you're taught in that environment that are so beneficial.
I think that the skills that I learned from camp probably helped me know that I could do that, right? Like that I could have the strength and ability and whatever. Like I can switch careers. I can go and move to New York City without anybody else. Just like this confidence.
Well, I've been fiercely independent in my employment my whole life, and I think a lot of that is just learning the skills I had at camp that I can handle a lot of stuff. For 17 years, I was self-employed, ran my own business. Recently, I'm employed, but I'm thinking about even making changes now, and I have the confidence to know that I can move on in this next phase of my life. I'm 53 now, but I could have another 20 some years of work, part-time work,
Yeah.
and be a positive influence in whatever I'm doing.
And you were 11, 12 when you first started?
Yeah, I suppose maybe 6th grade. I would have been 12, 13 if I was the first time I went was 7th grade.
But it really just changed how I thought about things, how I approached the world. I was able to, I think, look outside myself more and be more outgoing. And going through the camp program, that experience was so amazing and just life-changing, which is weird to say as a pretty young kid to have something happen to you that like moves you in a direction, I guess. But both my kids went to camp. My oldest went for 2 years. He liked it. My daughter was a 6th year, and she's just finished her 2nd year as a JC.
The friends that I made and those connections and those people have really supported me in my life, just like personally, professionally, all the ways that you want to have connection. And it's the best kind of friend because they know you for who you are, like that purest, most authentic version of who you are. To have people in your life that know that and get that and love you for that is so helpful as you just navigate like life. Not even just high school, not even just college, but like even life beyond all of that. And that for me has continued to be such a gift. And something that I will never be able to really fully repay it. It is something it's some of my best friends I've made through that organization. And
how has leadership camp impacted your life?
It made me the person I am today as far as self-esteem and confidence and lifelong friends.
And those lessons that I learned at the camp about just humility and friendship and honesty and authenticity but also things like the very practical, like how to run a meeting and how to how to plan an event or all of those kinds of things. Those are all relevant lessons, but the intrapersonal stuff and intrapersonal lessons that you are taught and experienced in that space are beneficial in ways that it's hard to put a value.
Like, that's all I could say about camp. It's like definitely experience. Most of my really good friends now are from camp, and we try to hang out all the time. You make good experiences, like good friendships. You get good experiences. And especially with like your adult counselors and junior counselors and all the staff, like it's just overall it's like a really good experience, and I really recommend it for anyone.
When I was doing it regularly, it was one of the most impactful pieces of my year for me, and just so much joy and love.
Before I went to camp, I was such a shy person, but once I went and like got all those like outgoing, like I guess life skills, I'm such an outgoing person now. After I went to camp, I met all of my closest friends. Like, I know I meet lifelong friends when I go to camp that are going to be with me like years and years after. And it's just a lot of skills are so like important to life that you learn at camp.
To be able to be in a community like that where it's just like kind, good, like people, where the motivation is truly to help others, that doesn't exist in many spaces. It always seems like there's that validation and that acceptance and all of those things. Like you don't get that in adult spaces, right? And so to be able to have that space where that is just the way it is, and it's kind of like pre-baked, it is very much part of the ethos of that organization. It's amazing to have people and to bring people into that too, which is why it's so great to be able to bring more people in when we can.
I'd rather be the sun and shine from my own light than to be the moon and shine from someone else's light. So that was a camp thing.
I think all of those things teach people how to work with a group, recognize what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and give yourself permission to accept help from other people that have a strength.
It is a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, the ability to think outside of the box and stretch and learn and grow and discover new things about yourself.
It has really helped me better clarify the kinds of professional employment that I've wanted to pursue. Like I think about, man, like that magic of that space.
Yeah.
And what are the ways I can integrate that into the teams I work with at my work? You know, it's hard. It's important to be able to create those spaces. It's really great to use that energy and to use those lessons from the camp and use them to create other things for other people, and to kind of allow those lessons to be beyond just that one.
What do you carry with you? What do you think?
It's so broad, right? But I think it's learning how to work with people from who aren't always like you, who have different backgrounds, and because in that case you're coming from all over the state and meeting people that, you know, it was exposure and being treated not like a kid. I think the program really treat as you were learning things, they were treating you like you were maybe older, maybe not an adult, but like it was very egalitarian, I guess.
It gives you agency as a young person.
Yeah.
How are you best friends with these people after only 5 days? And it's like you have to go to see, like you have to go and see it for yourself. It's really magical.
Task orientation versus team orientation, and it changed the way I think about it often, because I think it changed the way that I supervise as a professional. Being able to identify if a person is really oriented on accomplishing a task versus how everyone feels in the task, and to have a good mix of both. If you have a team that's all team-oriented people, the tasks don't always get done.
Exactly.
Because everyone's very careful and wanting to know about feelings. But if you have task-driven teams, and you only have those task-driven people, you become robots.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not connective.
Probably get more burnout.
A lot more burnout and a lot more. It's not as fun. And so I learned that lesson when I was 15 years old at high school leadership camp. And now, as a person who's been in the workforce for 10 years, more than that, almost 15 now. But as a person who's been out in the working world, that understanding that I learned at the age of 15 is something that I see all of the time.